In 1968, the city of Washington, D.C. erupted into violence, riots, and arson after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. One of the three worst neighborhoods ravaged by the turmoil of the times was the Northeast H Street corridor.
After the riots, H Street just died. They burned all the stores down and all the clubs, and liquor stores, the 5 and dime stores, everything just burned down. I stood in front of my place all night and day and just watched them loot.
30% of the buildings were left boarded up or as vacant lots for more than a decade afterward. The poverty rate soared, along with the rate of crime and unemployment.
I think people tend to forget what the city was like at that time. The crack wars were going on. D.C. was considered the murder capital of the country.
Young men standing on a corner selling drugs, killings, everything. Senior citizens afraid to come out the doors.
12 years later, the neighborhood was still depressed. But that did not deter Cathy Hughes. In fact, it inspired her.
Cathy Hughes showed that H Street could be a central neighborhood in the District of Columbia.
In 1980, she purchased her flagship station, WOL-AM, and moved from affluent Wisconsin Avenue Northwest to the corner of 4th and H Street, Northeast. That move began the transformation of an entire community.
After the riots of '68, H Street was devastated. You could find bottles, beer bottles, wine bottles, needles, people standing on the corner looking like zombies. But when WOL arrived on that corner, 4th and H, like an oasis coming to the desert.
The neighborhood that exists now did not exist before she decided to go there. She was an integral part in the revitalization of the H Street area, and even more than that, an important part of the revitalization of the city.
Cathy Hughes got to work literally building the station with the help of many of the residents who were unemployed and disenfranchised.
We got involved. Volunteers here, people helped build the station, the community helped build her station here.
She had a microphone in one hand, she had a broom and a dustpan on in another hand, and she had a pen full of red ink over her right ear. That means that she was both the on-air talent, she was the off-air maintenance person, she was also the accountant.
She employed many of her volunteers and taught them the business of radio. Most of her staff lived in the neighborhood and walked to work. She partnered with local business-sponsored health fairs, holiday giveaways, festivals, and created programs helping the residents get back on their feet.
Name me another person who has hired as many people as Cathy Hughes has hired. Name me another person in that area, in the city, who has had the impact with the local citizens as she.
She put mothers to work, running her station. One mother, I'll never forget. I mean, it was unbelievable how she trained her as a mother, that nobody didn't want to give a chance.
This area wasn't nothing. Ain't too many black people can get credit for raising property value. She did, not just for the corner. Everything you see here.
Taking to the microphone, Hughes hosted a daily talk show that focused on the workings of the nation's capital, empowering her listeners with vital information.
She used to sit in the picture window and do talk shows at WOL. She took the mute button off of Black America.
And as people walked by, they'd wave at her, and on her break, she would come outside and chat with whoever happened to be there.
Hughes was not only a champion of many causes that directly impacted her listeners, but also a resource to government agencies seeking to connect with their constituents.
I went on WOL with a different fact every morning, and we beat the death penalty in the District of Columbia 2-1. That was because Cathy Hughes had lent her voice and her airwaves to this extraordinary public service.
I used to go to WOL, be interviewed by her, and it was really a critical tool to be able to reach out and talk to the people of Washington, D.C. about what it is we needed to do, how we were going to make the city safer. She was a critical part of our reform effort.
Radio 1 was our only drumbeat that has become the link and the network for Black America.
The 4th and H Street corridor is where it all began. The inspiration and rebuilding of a people, a community, and a neighborhood. Now, more than 35 years later, Radio 1 is the largest Black-owned media company in the U.S. and the home of TV One, Reach Media, Interactive One, and One Solution.
To have Cathy Hughes there in that place, in that space where folks were leaving, well, maybe it's an indication of what may be long-term. So I think having WOL there was an impetus for many to not ignore H Street. And you see what we have today.
The Radio 1 story is one of love, integrity, and dedication. Cathy Hughes has created a legacy that will continue to shape the African American experience.
This is a city of monuments where we dedicate statues and street names to people who have done noteworthy things.
4th and H should be named Cathy Hughes Way. WOL should get credit for saving H Street.
The thing that I pray that everyone will remember about the brand Radio 1 Incorporated is that we made our community a lot better than it was when we first started our company in 1980.
Cathy Hughes Way, the perfect tribute to the woman who led the way for a D.C. neighborhood to reclaim its greatness.
I can't think of anybody who's more qualified to have something named after her than Cathy Hughes.